Hi, welcome back channel, FIFA Mobile. Alright, so how do you win that 7 matches for the Fantasy Weekly Quest? I did the hard way, but of course you can choose to autoplay using the unranked. By the way, I've sold this player, and it says 74 million for me, and I'm back to 136 million. So it means that probably I have made a million. So that's the outcome if you do the exchange. If you've not seen my previous video, please go take a look at it, alright? So now, like I mentioned, I'm doing the hard way, which means I'm playing H2H with a lot of high-level players. So EA likes to do that in terms of pairing. Usually I got paired with very high fans number, which are really expert in that context. But again, I mentioned in one of my previous video the fact of using the much hated skill move. But I have no choice. I mean, the lane change skill moves is something that I really despised previously. If you ask me now why I have chosen to spend 500 gems just to get that lane change, I think it's an eye for an eye in that context, because everybody is using that skill move like this. You can see again, if you do not use it, you'll be disadvantaged in playing H2H, and I lost terribly to a lot of those people who actually use that skill move. And of course, just to be on the same fighting ground, competitive age, we need to have that skill move. That's 500 gems to be spent, because everybody is using this ridiculous skill move, which is called the lane change. If you want to know how about going and getting that skill move done, there's one video in my playlist which I talks about how to get that skill move done. Alright, so that's something you may want to consider, given the fact that everybody is using this skill move, and really if you don't use it, we are really disadvantaged. Currently, always I'll do this, which is the midpoint. I'll bring my subs in. I always have the 3 best subs with me, because basically you can only do 3 substitutes. So with that, you have 3 fresh pairs of legs that allows you to make your faster aggression to score a goal. The other thing you got to take note is really defending. Try to use the second defender. So always try to use 2 defenders to defend. I think that's actually spreads out the wing in terms of your defense. Otherwise, it may be quite difficult sometimes, where you can see a lot of lane change being applied by the opponents. So if you use a lane change, you have 2 defenders. No matter which side they change their lane, you will be there trying to catch with them. So this is what happened. And whenever the player try to go to the extreme left or right corner, please send your defenders back towards your goalkeeper, because it's always about the spam, right? Which is like this, right? So this spam move, basically you just cross and score, is really applied across by every single player that you have seen that have at least got a million fans or more. All the FIFA Champion 3 and above would always apply this, and this is something I learned the hard way. I've been losing terribly in the past, not doing that, and just forcefully wanted to apply what I thought skillful move and pushing the ball forward. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work that way. So you can see again, I'm paired with someone of 1.127 million fans. So again, EA likes to do this because they notice you have been winning. They want you to lose, not only by making sure they rig the AI to make it easier for the opponent. They want to apply really hard or difficult opponents with you, and this is a common tactic that the opponent do. You can see just now, always they try to push the ball forward and they just score. Alright, so that's very common. And when you do defending, do apply, like I said, the second defender, and when times appropriate, try to use the skid. Alright, so by sliding, you basically able to get back to the ball, because sometimes the AI wouldn't be able to stop that. So that's something I learned the hard way, as is usual, because that's how people apply it to me, and I learn from my mistakes, or people win against me and what they do. This is another common AI problem, because they want to deter you. There are a few things. I mean, they have a superb goalkeeper, very strong hardline defenders. They have unscrupulous referee that is super biased. They also have all these strange defenders that are able to touch the ball and bounce it off your opponents, basically able to bounce it off your attackers. So you can see here, how do you then break the AI code is rather what I believe in using the two defenders or the second defenders mode. That's really help. And of course, the other thing, as I mentioned earlier, is about speed. If you are in red, which means that your energy level of your player is so low, there's no way you can break the AI code because they are really fast, exceptionally fast. So having three fresh pair of legs is relatively important. Always do this when you move towards defending. Go on the straight line if possible, because that's one way to do it, which means that if your attackers try to go run straight. If you try to do the same, which you try to catch up, it's really tough. So you try to go straight as well, but you know at when it's really near the goalpost, they'll do a U-turn in a way. They'll stop and then they'll turn. So this is something you look out for and be sure you can stop them in time. But I think easier said than done. It takes a lot of practice. It's not like something is so easy. Otherwise, H2H will be very easy to play. H2H is about practice, 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 right? So a lot of practice required, and this is what I normally do. I try to push forward as well to the center and then have an attacker there. But of course, you risk because the AI may just put it out offside. All right. So most of the time they'll push it offside unless you break the AI code. It takes me a long while. Like you can see, almost near the 90-minute mark before we made that amazing 1-0. Right. So it is not something that I can be really proud of, saying that my skills is really high. I can get 5-0 easily. It's not the same. Like what you think you are really good at sometimes is about luck, whether you can break the AI code. At the same time, you're getting opponents that's slightly lower than you. Like for example, this one, it is broken from the very high fans base opponent. So this opponent supposedly should be easier, but you can see again the AI is working again. Okay, so it is not like sometimes, most of the time I'll say it, they give you very high fan base players, but even if they give you a very low fan base players, it doesn't mean they're extremely easy. It doesn't work that way, some because of the AI, but I would say that definitely easier than those really high fan base, because they are true experts in that context. So far, you can see this is what I meant. With a lower fan base, it seems easier to score because they're not as skillful. But again, AI plays a huge part in this whole H2H match, because it is all predicted sometimes unless you break the code. As I mentioned earlier, how to break the code. Second defender is one way. The other way is by passing the ball. But again, like I said, even you try to score normally, it works, but the AI will prevent you from doing it. If not, the referee will call it offside. All right, so these are some little things that I could share you. As usual, 45 minutes has reached. I'm going to switch in 3 fresh pairs of legs. And with this 3-0 intact, I will say that this H2H is secured, and probably this will be my last in order to get that 7th win requirement of the weekly fantasy weekly quest. Again, if you are not into this and you're afraid of losing fans, I do understand. If you play unranked, it works as well, but I've not tried that because I think it's a really long while to try to play unranked, because there's nobody inside. So if you try, and let me know in the comments if you succeed. If you play unranked, probably play the H2H, so it could be a very fast game, and 7 games would be much easier completed. So again, H2H is a lot of practice. It's important you have really fast legs in your team. Always try to take a look at the sprint speed. That's really and acceleration as well. These are the two speed components in every player. So these are really important for your attackers. Of course, it's not important for your midfielders or defenders, but it's just more important for your attackers. Otherwise, you will always be outrun by the defenders of the opponent. The other thing for defenders, I would say, is height. Height is relatively important. Otherwise, you may not be able to header off those corners as well. All right, thank you for watching and staying with me, and do subscribe if you're not. Thank you again. Goodbye.